Are you wanting to get into Jane Austen, trying to read it, but you need a little bit of help trying to understand it? You could join a private book club with Frances. You set the timeline, you set the agenda. Through video calls, emails, chat with Frances, learn more about the story. And she's going to help you understand Austen. And you know what? That would make the world a better place. Jane Austen.
Kia ora, welcome to the Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, author, Austenite and life coach. My lovely Beatboxer co-host is Rachel Pilwer, book buyer, Austenite and all-around nerd.
Hi.
Oh, today's a big one.
Dun, dun, dun.
You missed the arm movements, guys.
Yeah, there was a lot of movement in that sound.
Chapter 28. Yep,
That's all. That's it, folks. Thanks for coming along.
We run into Willoughby and he's a dick.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. And the horse he rode in on.
Oh, but the poor horse.
Luckily, Mrs. Jennings is not there, because I imagine she would confront Willoughby face to face. Something's up with Mrs. Palmer. Remember, she's heavily pregnant, so Mrs. Jennings is with her, and that's why she's not there, and the Miss Dashwoods are with Lady Middleton at a ball.
At the end of the previous chapter, we know that Colonel Brandon finds out about, or is saying, congratulations to Marianne. And like, we know that Mrs. Jennings also thinks that they're engaged. And I'm like, how many people who would be at this event, who know the Dashwood sisters, who know about Marianne and potentially Willoughby, would like go up to him and just be like, oh, it's so good to see you. We've brought your fiance here in front of everybody, because you know Mrs. Jennings would do that. And just be like, we haven't seen you in so long. So many people want to say that to you, Willoughby. And here you are, being a fucking dandy.
The whole way Austen writes about this ball is so different to how people who write Regency romances do now. They're at someone's house, they turn up and their names are announced, landing to landing, there's a string of carriages, it's hot, inconvenient. That's kind of all we get, and then they go and sit somewhere. The Regency romances you have now, they're like, oh, it's so-and-so's ball, we're greeted by the lady of the house, everything is described, you know exactly what we're wearing, you know who we're meeting, all of that. But Austen's like, oh yeah, by the way, they went to a ball and this is where this happened.
I think maybe part of that, though, is because at the time Austen was writing, it was more known what people would have been wearing to balls. It's expected that you would probably know your host, but you probably wouldn't know that many people there unless it was an intimate party. Nowadays, though, it's not something that happens regularly like it did then. So we don't have that kind of like expectation of society ball. We're not like, oh, we're going to this ball and I need to know who else is there. Like now, I go to a party. I went to a wedding last week and I was like, who am I going to know who's here? Am I going to know anybody? Or am I going to sit alone and have to talk to strangers and stuff? I feel like we want to know people more to be comfortable in a situation.
Yeah, it just makes them feel more isolated.
Yeah.
Which might be the intention. And Eleanor sees Willoughby. He's with another woman.
Ruh-roh.
She's like, God, I hope Marianne doesn't see this. But she does. And Eleanor tries to calm her down. Do not betray what you feel to everybody present, because Marianne's going to act inappropriately again and open herself up to all sorts of slander. But Marianne's just like, no, that's not who I am. It's beyond her wish to be composed at such a moment. She's in agony, everything, and then eventually he comes over. And, oof, he talks to Eleanor instead of Marianne. Like you would if they were acquaintance, you talk to the elder sister.
Yeah.
Probably. And Eleanor's just like, what's happening? She was robbed of all presence of mind by such an address and was unable to say a word. Eleanor, who always knows how to behave, is approached by her sister's boyfriend, who's just like, "How nice to see you," so very formally and stiffly that she goes, What? What?
And then immediately Marianne is like, but the feelings of her sister were instantly expressed. Classic.
Good God, Willoughby, what is the meaning of this? Will you not shake hands with me? The shaking hands, I think, is like you'd give someone a hug and a kiss today.
Yeah.
You're really familiar. You're touching somebody.
Yeah.
And her touch seemed painful to him.
Yeah, which is like, oh my God, dude. Like, the two of you were basically hooking up when you guys were at Barton, and then you haven't seen her in so long, and you haven't told her that you're not into her anymore. Of course she's going to try and reach for your hand. Like, be a man.
He's kind of treating her like a one-night stand that you accidentally run into.
Oh, yeah. That you don't realize you knew somehow other way through other people. And you're like, oh, shit, well. But that she was delusional thinking that one-night stand was, like, the best night ever. And that, of course, he wants her again.
Yeah. It's all on you. You totally misunderstood what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, I left my card. Did you not get that? I don't think he's ever spoken so woodenly. And Marianne, in the wildest anxiety, in public, is like, "Did you get my notes?" Girl, no. You do not publicly announce you've been writing to somebody you are not engaged to.
Mm-hmm.
And he just goes, what? Tries to back away. Yep, thanks, I did. I need to go. And runs off to the woman he was talking to before, which we can assume is Sophia Gray, who he is almost engaged to.
Yeah.
And some people want to make her the bad guy, but he is playing her just as much as he's playing Marianne. She's probably like, who are you talking to?
She probably has no idea of the Dashwoods. He's using her for her money. She's actually getting a pretty raw deal out of this too.
In the same way that Marianne has used Mrs. Jennings to get to London to see him.
True. Although in saying that, Mrs. Jennings did offer.
That's true.
They didn't pursue. They didn't say, hey, Mrs. Jennings, we'd really like you to take us to London. She was like, I'll take you to London, and no, you have to come with me. Whereas it's like, presumably Willoughby is the one who started pursuing Miss Grey.
I imagine so. Eventually they leave. A little bit of relief for Eleanor because Marianne's like, I need to talk to him. And Eleanor's like, you can't do that. Once he's gone, Marianne's like, yeah, let's just go now. I don't want to say any more. Lady Middleton is too polite, even though she's in the middle of a game. She has to leave and take Marianne home. Yeah. This is so rude and self-centered of Marianne.
You're right. I mean, it really sucks, especially because they're there with Lady Middleton. She's the one who has acquaintances at this party. And it's a bad look for her to have to leave during this. But she's also their chaperone. And I think it would be worse to have Marianne stay at the party and just make a fool of herself because you know she's going to start crying any minute. And she's not going to be able to keep her composure. And if she's left alone for too long, she's probably going to go and confront Willoughby herself, and that would be worse.
Well, this is the problem that Marianne cannot control herself. Eleanor has to put up with a lot worse shit, and she does.
But Eleanor has a brain.
Marianne doesn't disguise any of her feelings. Lady Middleton takes them back and drops them at Berkeley Street. Mrs. Jennings isn't back, but Eleanor waits up for Mrs. Jennings to do the right thing, and she's trying to figure out what happened and thinks that a thorough change of sentiment, so Willoughby no longer is in love with Marianne. She would be more pissed about it had she not witnessed the embarrassment of Willoughby, which seemed to speak a consciousness of his own misconduct. She thinks he no longer loves Marianne, wants to end the engagement. He's aware that's a bad thing and doesn't quite know how to handle it. This is such a charitable interpretation by Eleanor, though. Like, Willoughby is careless. He likes to groom young girls and then abandon them. Marianne is not the first. But at least in this case, he realises that he's being a dick about it.
He's just being a fuckboy. I could see him having some affection for Marianne, but he doesn't truly love her because he wouldn't do this to her otherwise.
Well, you would hope.
You'd hope, yeah. He's just like going through various situationships until he can find someone wealthy enough for him to actually want to pursue something. But the thing is, he's probably not even wanting that person for themselves long term. He just wants their money long term.
Whatever he can get from the situation, whether it's companionship, something to kill time, some sex, all the money.
Yeah.
He is only thinking about himself.
Him with Marianne, he wasn't getting any money out of it. We really hope he didn't get any sex out of it, which I don't think he did. But he would have gotten amusement for the time that he was there. He would have had just something to keep him occupied. And it just sucks that he would have been making promises about the future to Marianne, knowing that it would never go anywhere.
Well, he implied but never directly made promises. This is the thing. He was keeping her in that situationship, behaving like they're engaged, but never actually asking. Behaving like he loves her, but never actually saying it.
Yeah, never saying, oh, I do love you. Never saying, oh, when we get married. But probably saying, oh, you know, one day in the future I'd love to have children or something like that. But never saying, I want them with you.
Then being like, why are you being so dramatic? We weren't even dating.
Yeah.
We just hung out.
Love bombs and then leaves. Fuck that guy. You see how bad Willoughby is. We do have examples of good men in this book. We've got Colonel Brandon.
Dude, we've got Edward in the same chapter.
Exactly.
Eleanor's like, her own situation gained in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
She could still esteem Edward. They're gonna be divided, but she knows that he's still a good guy. He's behaving as he should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The situation with Edward sucks, but he is still a good man. Unfortunately, I think this is necessary for Marianne to grow up. I think if the situation hadn't happened like this, she would have stayed dramatic and serious. Like if she had ended up with Willoughby and things had gone how she planned, she would have always been, even as a wife and as a mother, she would have been dramatic and kind of ridiculous. She never would learn boundaries.
Was it necessary then for this to happen, for her to actually grow up? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. For Eleanor, she doesn't need the strife. She is the oldest of three. Her father died. She's had to look after her mother and her sisters. I mean, we assume Eleanor was fairly sensible before that, but that's part of the catalyst of her becoming a more strong and sensible woman. But Marianne, being the middle child, didn't have that. And so I think she would, if everything had worked out how she wanted, she would have just continued to not have any growth of person. Especially if it had been with Willoughby, because she would still be living in this rose-tinted glasses fairy tale life despite the whole situation of having to leave their home because of their father's death. She still would have been like, la-di-da-di-da, life is all romance and sunshine. The man I love loves me and we're together and I'm perfect and yada-da-da-da. Even if she grew up, I think she still wouldn't change that much without this situation.
It's a really good point. Because you're like at Barton, when she was going to accept a horse from Willoughby, completely not thinking about the realities of that. Yeah, it's kind of like she's just floating above the situation, not in it.
Yeah, she's just so in the clouds about it. I think it shows that Austen writes very good and very interesting characters, where it's like, actually, up until this situation, Marianne is very one-dimensional, and this is the catalyst for the character development. This situation is what gives her depth.
Do you think if she had not had the then deathly illness that follows this, would this have been enough for that character development, or does she need the fully deathly illness?
I think the illness does help. This is when her heart breaks. I think she would probably, without the illness, have continued to stay dramatic. She would have just been a sadder version of being dramatic. Like, she wouldn't be the rose-tinted glasses. I think she would go dramatic in the opposite direction. If she was in the modern time, she'd go from being all like pink and girly happiness to just being goth and emo, to being, I'm going to go in the complete other direction. Everything is terrible and heartbreak is my life. And she would be painting her nails black. But I think the illness gives her a sense of mortality that she's like, I can't live like that anymore. I think that kind of gives her what is my life actually? What am I doing with it?
How much of a selfish bitch have I been?
Yeah.
That went places unexpected.
Anyone listening, if you find yourself with a person who reminds you a little bit of Willoughby, or when you're reading this, Willoughby reminds you of them, get out. Get out of that situation. If you're married to that person, maybe separate from that person. Divorce is legal in this country, or in multiple countries in the world. You should look at that. And if you're just dating, get yourself out. Do better. Find yourself an Edward or a Colonel Brandon. We don't need the Willoughbys of the world.
Okay.
That's my advice for our listeners.
And that's our discussion of chapter 28 of Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I've been Frances Duncan. This has been Rachel Gower.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading.
Willoughby sucks.